Hello, hello. Hey guys, it's Friday. Yay! All right. Howdy, howdy. How are you guys today? Let me know who's here, where you're joining from. Hey, Tanya. Who else is here? Hey, Emma. I know some of y'all. Hey, Susan from Alabama, Ohio. Yes. From Keller, Florida. Ooh, I wish I was there. Hey, North Carolina. Hey, Amory. My daughter just said howdy back. Carrie, hello, Wisconsin. Tiffany, hey Tiffany. You guys are in much cooler places than I am in currently. I think it's still 100 here. Oh, my thermometer's in the sun. It says it's 130. So, you know. Hey, Yasmin from Georgia. 81. Oh, that must be nice. All right, so it's Friday, and I have deemed Friday to be question and answer days because I think they're fun, and I think it's fun to chit chat with you guys, and you guys have good questions throughout the week, and I'm not always able to answer them. I'm sure you have questions that come up, and hey, Shannon from Texas. I know, right? So I think it's fun to talk to you guys and to see, you know, what questions you have. If there's something that I said during the week that sparked something, or if you watch the replay and weren't able to ask the question, that's always my thing. Like if I'm watching the replay, I can't jump in and ask a question. And so if that's you, now is your day to chat with me. So bring on your questions. Hey, from Indiana, Megan. Yay, good. Good for you. That's so fun. I'm glad you caught a live one too. Hey, Danita. Yes, good job, Megan. The Rising Start bonus is fun. Sometimes it feels like a beating to get there. Okay, so if I've been guilting of enabling instead of empowering, how do I begin reversing that? Good question. It is exciting, Megan. Congratulations. Okay, so if you have been an enabler, the good news is it's never too late to change. And so you kind of start where you're at. You know, I was talking yesterday about like kind of holding people's hand. And so I don't know in what ways you're specifically talking about, but for example, if it's, you know, you start today and you just make the decision that, okay, I'm going to begin to point people to resources instead of being the resource. So if you keep that in mind, that, okay, I'm going to point people to resources instead of being the resource, that's kind of the first step. So if they ask you questions about how to use an oil, or they ask you, hey, will you send me, you know, this information? Maybe telling them, well, that's located in the virtual office under member resources. That's a great place to start. Jumping in and doing things for people instead of directing them and learning them how to do it. Yeah, so the first thing to do is just to do it. So, hey, Sherry from Niagara Falls. I've been there once. I went to the Canadian side, though. I was a junior in high school. It was a really long time ago. So when it comes to, for example, if you're watching Downline Viewer and you notice that somebody's ER order didn't process, maybe that's something that you really begin to focus on. You know, if you haven't trained your people how to do things. Oh, good. Hopefully that was helpful for you. I watched your enabling versus empowering class just before I taught a business class last night. Good. Well, I hope there were some things that you were able to share and felt like you were able to kind of give your leaders some tools. So you're going to have to train your people. If you've been enabling them, obviously you don't just want to like shove them all out of the nest today and quit cold turkey, and you know, that's not going to work so well. But again, just telling them where they can find the information. That's where I would start. And instead of jumping in and doing things, kind of set back a little bit. I mean, obviously, you know, okay, so it's the, what, 28th of the month? Oh, that's awesome. Super cool. One of my leaders told me she was ready for me to let go of the bike and let her ride solo. I love the hearts. Thanks, y'all. that's great when your leaders get to that point. And, you know, it's not awful if you let them fail. Like I said yesterday, it's not really failing. Making mistakes, you know, that is one of the best ways to learn. And sometimes, you know, if you're in there rescuing them all the time, they don't have that chance to learn. You know, kind of like if you never let go of your kid on the bike, they're never going to learn how to ride on their own. And it's okay if they fall and scrape their knee, and they learn from that. And those are some of the best learning experiences that they can have. I hear you, Megan. I hear you. Yeah, so, I mean, okay, today's the, 27th of the month? You know, obviously, again, and there's a line, you know, there's a balance. But again, there's not many mistakes that somebody's going to make that they cannot recover from. 28. What's 28? The 28th of the month. Yes. I have no idea what day today is. I just know it's not the last day of the month. So maybe there's something that you wait a day or two to bring it up to your leaders. You know, maybe it's something that you can post in your business group. Hey, everybody, make sure, because it's the last end of the month, make sure you check your ER dates and all ER orders have processed. Any of them that haven't processed, make sure you get in touch with those people. Bam. Leave it out there. Let them, you know, take advantage of, or take ownership of their own people. So that would be my suggestion of where to start. Start today. What else? What other questions you guys have? There's 23 of y'all on here. Surely somebody has a question. Because, I mean, I can keep talking, I suppose. There's actually something that I wrote down that I wish that I would have said yesterday. So I'm going to say that while I'm waiting for you guys' questions. Otherwise, this is going to be a really short scope today. So something that I see sometimes in my group is, especially in our regular usage group, how do you sell the Essential Rewards sign up? Awesome. Okay, let me finish this thought and we'll get to that. Don't post a question for someone. Okay, so if somebody messages you and says, you know, how do you, what do I use to support my immune system? Please don't go in your usage group and say, what are some good oils or products to support the immune system, and then tag them. Do not do that. Okay, you are not enabling them. What you can do is say, oh, you know what, I can answer your question, but our usage group is super helpful for that, because then you get multiple people's answers and they might have an idea that I don't. And then let them go and post it in their usage group. Okay? So, care call technique. All right, so let's get to the first one, was Essential Rewards. And then we'll get to care calls next. All right, so how do I sell Essential Rewards? So, typically I bring up Essential Rewards when someone is signing up. Okay? Because, you know, why not, right? So, after, you know, my intro, whatever that looks like, an intro class, you know, whether it's a one-on-one, whether it's a big class, towards the end of the class, I will say, okay, so I will say, there is an opportunity for you to sign up once you begin to use these products and order, you know, actually what I say is, before you place your next order, you might want to look into our Essential Rewards program. Okay? You want to make sure they do this, like I said, before they place their next order from their premium starter kit. You know, once you start to fall in love with these products and want to order them on a regular basis, there's a cheaper way to do that, and it's called our Essential Rewards program. It's an auto ship program, but it's different than a lot because you can choose your date, you can choose your products, they don't have to be the same from month to month, and the great thing is you get a percentage back on everything that you order through the Essential Rewards program. You also get a little bit cheaper shipping, as well as priority on low stock products, and there's even special kits that you can only buy on Essential Rewards. So before you place your next order, make sure you talk to me about that, and then leave it. Okay? You can tell them that it's $50 a month. You don't have to. It's not really important at that juncture. But good. But what you want to do is you want to make sure that you give them that care call a week to 2 weeks after they sign up, and then you can bring it up again. Hey, I just want to make sure that before you place your next order, contact me about Essential Rewards, because I would hate for you to lose out on free product. And if they say, oh, well, actually, I was about to order, you know, some more of this or that, or I'm really interested in the Thieves Cleaner, then you can go into more detail. But if you're, you know, sowing that seed of Essential Rewards, that's a great thing that they're going to remember. Oh, before I place my next product, I want to know how to get free stuff. I just started building in April and have had a few reorders. Care calls had no effect. Any tips? Oh, I've had few reorders. Okay, sounds easy, but I don't want to seem pushy. Okay, totally not pushy. Obviously, if you go into a 20-minute discussion about Essential Rewards, you're going to seem pushy. But if you're just throwing it out there, then you're not being pushy. You're just letting them know about a program that's there. And if they don't want to take advantage of it, they're not going to ask you about it again, but don't let them miss it because you didn't tell them about it. So your job is to tell them, they're the ones that get to make the decision whether they're interested and want to ask you more questions, because you will have people, oh yeah, I want to know more, or you'll have people that say, okay, thanks. Okay, so now all the questions are coming. People that spend $100 a month and don't want to commit to ER. You might want to tell them that there's absolutely no obligation, that if they sign up this month and decide next month they don't want to order, that they can quit. That's a really good selling point for a lot of people, because some people think, oh, if I sign up, I'm going to have to do it every month. It's super easy to quit. You place a phone call and say, I want to get off ER. Make sure you redeem your points beforehand. So that might be something that people can do. Making sure that you're putting the benefits out there in front of people on a regular basis. Again, newsletters. That's a really good way to get to people. So somebody mentioned that Thieves stuff, I talk about non-toxic. It's non-toxic, and it works better than any cleaner that you've got in your house. I mean, that's really, you don't have to necessarily have all the numbers and the statistics and things like that. I think when you tell people this is a non-toxic cleaner that uses the power of essential oils to clean your home, it's safe, your kids can use it. I mean, that was one of the big things. Like, my 2-year-old wanted to help clean. Well, I can give it to her and not have to worry about her drinking it or the dog looking up after it. I think that's a great selling point for the cleaners. Okay, so people spending more than $100 that are not on ER. It's helpful, again, just to remind them of why they want to get on it. Hey, there's no commitment fee, or like, you can quit and then get back on, and then quit and get back on, and the only thing that happens is you restart your percentage. Do you send mail out? Typically, no. I know that some people, if they can't get a hold of people, so if they try calling and they can't get a call back, and they try emailing and they can't get anything in response, you can definitely try to mail things. I have mailed things here and there. Actually, I did a big push a couple months ago. It was actually when I was trying to get rid of a bunch of my old starter guides. The new kits were coming out, and so we found out about the new kits in May. And so what I did in May was I took anyone, I know, care calls can be difficult. And ultimately, I mean, if they don't want to sign up for ER, I mean, okay, dude, you're missing out on free stuff. One of the things that I do like to do, I like to post, when I redeem ER points, I like to post pictures of those things in my group. I got all this stuff for $7. They're going to say, what? How did you do that? Well, I saved up my ER points, and all I had to pay was shipping. That's a super awesome selling point for people. So, if they don't want to sign up for ER, I mean, you can't make them ultimately. Really, it's just your responsibility to make sure they know about the program, so that months down the road, they don't go, hey, why didn't you, tell me? Yeah, you can always rejoin ER. So you can sign up this month. In 3 months, you can quit. 2 months later, you can sign back up, and the only quote-unquote punishment is that your percentage starts over. So you always start back at 10%. Okay, I was going somewhere. Mailing. I mailed out a bunch of starter guides to people, and I included a little personal note. And it was to people who hadn't ordered since their initial purchase, since their starter kit, hadn't ordered in like 3 or 4 months. I sent out like 90 of these things. It was in 2 specific legs of mine that I'm really concentrating on right now. Just a little note, hey, hopefully you have some empty bottles, laying around your house. I'd love to help you reorder. If you're still wondering how to use, some of the oils, I'd love to help you, whatever, here's my email address, that kind of a thing. So, I sent those out in the mail. And I actually got a couple people that messaged me, hey, yeah, I've been wondering how to reorder. Or, yeah, I was wondering about some other oils for these issues, or, some things like that. Like, I had it. I would say, I don't remember the percentage, but I had a number of people that actually reordered from that. So, if emailing and calling isn't working for you, try the mailing. You never know what kind of response you're going to get. So for ER, just educate your people. And again, if you're educating them, you're not trying to be pushy. Yep. And it worked for a couple of them. Hey, Kylie. So yeah, I wouldn't discourage against mailing. I think that, any avenue, and, if that's what your people are going to respond to, then awesome. Thank you. Thanks. They're way out of my comfort zone as far as color goes, but I always love them on other people, and I'm like, I'm going to pick a different color this time. Okay, how do you notify them and get them to stay inactive? Or get them to stay active. Okay, so when they show up as about to go inactive, I think you have about a month. So, for example, if they signed up at the beginning of July they actually won't fall off your downline until about the middle of August. What happens is you have until the very end of the month, and then they don't fall off until Young Living runs the reports about the middle of the next month. So around the 15th, I'll say, is when they typically run the reports, and that's when your people will fall off. So if you know they're about to go inactive, let's say they signed up in July, the beginning of July comes, I would definitely get in contact with them. If you have simple downline, there's an email that you can send out to people like that.
Jordan drank all my strawberry milk. That was for me.
So what can you do about that? Let's problem solve. I'm going to empower my kids versus enabling them.
I drink all my.
She said her sister drank all her chocolate milk. I said, what can you do about that? Let's problem solve. Is there somebody inside that might be able to help you with that?
Dad's going upstairs to take a nap.
Okay. So when I'm done, is it possible that I might be able to get you some more? Okay.
No.
You guys go inside,
The
please.
paper was mine.
Okay, go inside, please. Thank you. Oh yeah, the Dances of My Life. Shout out Target. Okay, you guys can stay out here if you're quiet. No. Okay, I can't concentrate with you guys out here. I'm not a good concentrator as it is. But then when you guys are out here, I can't. So you can be out here and be quiet, or you can go inside. You pick, okay? Okay. All right, then you gotta be quiet. If you're not gonna be quiet, you gotta go inside. So let's see, we got off on nails, and before that we were talking about, I know, we were talking about mailing things and inactive. Okay, I knew I'd get back there eventually. So when people are about to go inactive, send out an email. Hey, just want to let you know that your Young Living account is about to go inactive. If you would like to remain an active member, all you need to do is place a 50 PV order. I'd love to help you out with that. That's a great place to start, okay? Sometimes it just takes that personal contact, and sometimes it's way easier for them to respond to an email or to a call than it is for them to find, your email address. I know, it sounds so easy, right? Why don't we do it more? So yeah, sometimes they just, it's easier when you contact them first. Like I said, then they're not having to look up information. And you can help them. They probably forgot their login at that point. You can give them their member number, that kind of a thing, and help them get logged back in and place that order. So if they haven't used their oils, then, maybe they say, well, I haven't really used them. Well, that's a great, I know, the fear, right? Which is just false evidence appearing real, right? That's what fear stands for. Maybe they haven't used their oils. Well, that's a great time to say, hey, you know what? We've got another intro class coming up. Why don't you join us again, and we can refresh your memory on some of the uses. Or I'd love to meet you for coffee and to go over some of the oils. And one of the really good questions that Melissa Pepping asks is, what were some of the reasons that you signed up for oils in the first place? Or what were some of your health goals when you signed up for oils? And what that does is they obviously signed up for a reason. Okay, most people don't just go out and spend $160, $170. Communication with members with no computer, and they're building a team. Wow. Was that a question? Like, how do you communicate with them? Okay. So I'm going to lose my train of thought here, but I don't want to talk forever about any one particular thing. Oh yeah, telling people, asking them, what were your health goals when you signed up initially, to help them remember, why did I spend $160 or $170? And maybe you can help them get recommitted to those. Okay, so the question was, how do you, people that don't have internet and computers and all that kind of stuff? Well, I guess the phone or mailing would be your two best places. People that are trying to build businesses that way, it can be done. Lots and lots of people have done it without a computer. Hey, Alyssa. I don't know that I'm an expert on that subject because that's not how I built my business, but I will say that almost all of my signups are they're from relationships that I have. I don't know that I have many random people that signed up with me. It's all relationships that I have had. So awesome. Congratulations. So those people, they still have relationships. Oh, I see. Gotcha. Okay, I understand what you're saying. So you're asking how to support, or how are they supposed to support their people? Yeah, sometimes that is going to fall on you. You might encourage them to maybe jump into technology. I don't know the exact situation, So maybe you can just communicate to that. Listen, your team is online and, you know, it has Facebook and they are growing in that way, and it would be really helpful for you to be connected to your team like that. I know. Yeah, that's a tough one. Okay, so how do you build when you're just beginning to build yourself? Well, it's the same process. Okay, so if you've been doing it one day longer than your builders, you have something to share with them. Okay, if you've taught a class and they have not, you are further ahead than them. Yeah, there you go. That's a really good suggestion. Go to the library a couple times a week to use their internet. That's great. I would venture to say they're probably a little older. They might have, you know, kids that would be willing to teach them. Yep. Teach them how to email. They don't necessarily have to be on Facebook, but email can be a great way to keep in touch with people. That is a challenge, though, sometimes. Yeah. Typically they are. Oh, no kids at home. Yeah. It's a good question. But the other thing that you can do too is find the leaders under them, and you can start to kind of mentor and train up those leaders so that you're not actually having to carry that whole team. I would venture to say that there's probably 1 or 2 leaders there that you can connect with, and you can help them lead their part of the team. Other than your friends, how do you get people to invite to parties? Yeah, don't let that be an obstacle. How do you get people to invite to parties? Okay, so all the classes I've done have either been, yeah, there you go. So connect with those 2 leaders and empower them, train them, teach them, and get them going. And that's a way then that you're not having to carry that whole team. Okay, so like I said, almost all of my signups have been from relationships. One girl that I'm talking to right now, I haven't talked to her since middle school. Thank you, Facebook. She was actually going to sign up with a random person that she just saw an ad on Facebook, and then she saw a post of mine, and she's like, oh, well, I'd rather sign up with her. I know her. So most of my signups have been personal contacts that I have. From there, most of the classes that I've taught after my personal friends have been for them and their friends. So I'm not having to go out to the grocery store and hand out cards. I'm not having to spam, you know, cars in a parking lot or, you know, anything like that. Really, it's been from the people I have signed up, getting them to fall in love with their oils, getting them to use their oils, and then them naturally wanting to share with other people. So I've just made myself available and said, hey, I'm willing to come teach a class for people. You know, if you've got friends and family that want more information, let me know and I'd love to come teach a class. And then I go teach classes for them. And then they have people that, you know, and it just trickles down. So when I was an executive trying to hit silver, I was teaching 6 to 8 classes a month. I did that for probably 3 months. Out of that 3 months, maybe one of those classes was like for me and my personal friends. The rest of them were all for people in my downline and people that already had their oils and, you know, had friends that were interested. So that's where your business is really going to grow and duplicate and grow exponentially, because I can only reach a certain number of people. But once I get other groups going and other groups falling in love with their products, they're going to share. What's a good class size? Invite everyone at once or break it into smaller parties? Well, it kind of depends. Shut the door, please. A good class size, it totally depends on your space, your venue. If it's going to be at a house, you know, where there's not a lot of space, a small intimate gathering might be better. I don't know that there is a perfect class size. Big classes are fun. There's a lot of energy. You know, people ask questions and they get excited and, yeah, I want my oils. Oh, I want my oils too, you know, so that can be super exciting. A smaller class where there's 2 or 3, that can be really intimate and people can get their specific questions answered. Inside. You guys are being too loud. Okay, I want you to take that inside. Jordan, you can sit and watch with her or you can go play somewhere else. Those are your 2 choices. Okay, I need you to shut the door, please. Small intimate gatherings can be awesome too, because then they can get their specific questions answered. You know, they might be a quieter person, and so in a large gathering they aren't going to ask questions. So I don't think there is a perfect one. I think that both have benefits, and I think that no matter what, you should never cancel a class. Okay, that's my tip. Never cancel a class. Even if you've got one person that says that they're going to show up, you show up too, because you don't know what, you know, who they are and what they need. There you go. See, they could be your next rock star. And even if they're not, you could change their life with the oils could totally change their life. You don't know who they are and what they have going on. That's right. And they might really need the oils, and you showing up could totally change their life. The other thing too that I've found, sometimes I've shown up for a class and no one's shown up. It's been me and the host. And, you learn a couple things from that. Sometimes it's really good because you can talk to the host then, and if they're one of your, your builders, those people that are really, on fire or whatever, you can brainstorm. You can talk about, talk to them, problem solve, that kind of a thing. One of the things that's really, really good, and you know what, it happens to the best of us. And I think, again, sometimes it's good for you to feel like you failed. You didn't fail. Just because people don't show up to a class does not mean you failed. Here's a really good tip for you. Okay, so the girl who, okay, we'll come back to the kids in just a second. My biggest builder, the one who will probably hit diamond here within about 2 months, her very first class, we had, yeah, it happens. It does. Her first class that we scheduled, this was like 2.5 years ago. One person said they were coming, and we actually did reschedule because we both had some things going on and it was going to work better for us to do a different night. So we rescheduled for a couple weeks later. She had that class, and let's see, that was in February, I think. The one we rescheduled, she had 8 people sign up. From that class, she had at least 3 bookings for another class. She hit executive like 3 months later, and her business absolutely took off, and she's about to hit diamond here. Just think, if at that first class, because she was only going to have one person, she went, maybe it's not for me. She has brought her husband home. She's got kids. They have totally changed their life because she didn't give up. So please remember that. And again, this was when we were both first starting out, and so we rescheduled. So it's not the cardinal sin to reschedule a class, but I would not make it a habit. And I would definitely only do it under, if you have the night free, go teach the class. You probably need the practice anyway, so don't cancel it just because there's not a lot. Okay, kids at classes. Personally, I don't like them at classes. I love my kids, but not at classes. I've been at classes where there are kids. It's always really distracting. If you've got nursing babies that are going to sit there asleep, that's one thing. But the mom is not typically able to really pay attention to the class because she's busy trying to either keep her kid quiet or, whatever. Now, I will say this. If you've got a couple people who, have kids and they can't find a sitter, husband can't watch them, maybe you should schedule a class during the day and hire a sitter. Okay? Find somebody to come over, or find, someone that can be... Oh, okay, gotcha. Find somebody that can be in the room with the kids. It depends on the ages of your kids, honestly. It might work better for you to do online classes, not just Facebook classes, but more of like a Google Plus or a Skype class later at night once your kids are in bed. Okay? I like doing classes once kids are in bed, especially online classes, because there's probably other moms in my situation. So, 8:30 starting is not awful. Make sure you keep your class short. Don't let it go over an hour, okay? So online classes are great, especially if it's live and you're actually talking to the people. Make sure there's a chat option so that they can ask you questions. Then it isn't, then it still kind of does feel like a one-on-one type of deal. You can also teach while you're at home and they're all gathered in a room. The very first class I went to, the teacher couldn't make it to the actual class, and so she was at home on her computer, and the house I was at, there was like 8 of us there. She was up on the TV screen, and we sat and listened, and we were able to ask questions, and it was fantastic. I've done that a couple times, so there are ways to do it without having to be in person. So you could do a class that's a little bit later at 8 o'clock at night, say, and teach it online at somebody else's house. So get people to gather at a house and you teach it via Skype. So there's a suggestion. Okay, care calls came up. I've done Skype before, and then I've also done Google Plus. It's not Google Plus, but I'm in Texas. I'm in the Dallas area, Dallas-Fort Worth. I've done Skype before, and then Google Plus and YouTube Live have an option where this is what we do for all our business classes. You can set up the class. It gives you a link. Yep, Google Hangout. You can send people a link. They can click on the link and watch live. There is a little chat box over on the side. And yeah, we've been to Arkansas. And then after that, the great thing about Google Plus, it automatically uploads to YouTube, and the link is still works. So you can hold on to that link. So if you have someone else that contacts you and says, hey, I really want to know more, but I can't, attend a class, you can say, oh, here's a link of a previous class that I did, and then follow up with them afterwards. So I really like the Google Plus, Google Hangout, whatever it's called, that option. Okay, care calls was the next question. I would love to tell you that I have a wonderful system for care calls. I do not. This is something that I'm currently working on as well. I'm in the place where more of my care calls are to my business leaders and to my builders, and kind of just checking up on them, seeing what they need, asking what tools they can use, that kind of a thing. But really, all you really have to have is a piece of paper. And I've kind of come up with some systems before, and I've been really bad about my follow through. Hashtag true confessions. Yep, it's perfect. I love Google Hangout. Okay, so again, a piece of paper. What I would do is, and what I've done with, I've written them down before, is when you get a new sign up, write down their name and the date that they signed up. Look on your calendar and find, I'd say, a week to 2 weeks after that, and kind of write down a day or a window when you want to get back in touch with them. Okay, that first care call is so important. It kind of opens the door to further care calls. It's just really important to kind of solidify that relationship and to begin to show them that you care. So a week to 2 weeks later, make sure you call them, email them, do something. Okay, after that, I would contact them 3 to 4 weeks later. Cool. Step into Success has great ideas to track your care calls. Fantastic. That's a great idea. Thank you for that. Step into Success. I'm going to have to check that out. Who does that, Step into Success? Can you share whose materials that is? After your first care call, a week to 2 weeks after they get their kit, contact them about 3 weeks later. So it's a month after they've ordered, or a month after they got their kit. That's the next follow-up to say, how are you liking your oils? Maybe a week to 2 weeks later, they hadn't really, opened them, hadn't really experienced them. So a month later, then you can really, how are you liking them? What's your favorite? Are there any that you haven't opened yet and you'd like some ideas on how to use them? Are you ready to place another order? Would you like some help with that? Those are some really easy questions that you can ask. Again, a care call does not need to be an hour. Melissa Pepping says care calls should just be, I know, right? Care calls should be about 10 minutes long. So it's not, necessarily a time to get super lengthy into things. If someone has some issues that they're dealing with and they really want to talk to you about, you can make an appointment for that, Listen, I'd love to get into those issues with you. I've got some time available this night or this night. Do either of those work for you? So that's a great way to, again, you want to talk to them, but you just don't have time right now. Especially if you're in your, productive, you've only got an hour to get real work done. Don't let one person take up all that time. Stepintosuccess.com. Belinda Ellsworth. Okay, I'm gonna have to check that out. Okay, I think that was is it Step Into Success? I think that's what that was supposed to say. It's okay. Okay, Step Into Success. All right, I'll check it out. Cool. I'd love for that to be a great tool. So yeah, again, a month later, contact them. So that's really what I would do as far as, okay, yeah, so it's stepintosuccess.com. That's how I would write it down. And you can have a spreadsheet or, whatever your heart desires. All right, so we've talked about care calls. We've talked about ER. Talked about what to do if you have kids and you can't teach classes. Anything else for today? I don't think I have anything else that I wrote down that I wish I would have said. You're so welcome. Thanks for hopping on here. Does anybody have Adam Green's new book? Mine are in process. I'm excited to get it and read it. I'm hoping it's going to be a really good tool, especially to get husbands on board. Anybody have it yet? Not yet? Sure. Thanks for showing us parenting and working. hey, you know, it is what it is, right? 10 copies. All right. 1 to read, 9 to share, right? Cool. I'm super excited, and I'm excited to get it in the hands of my people, and good. Good. And this is, you know, if it's anything like the 4-year career, which I've heard that it is, it's a really good way to get people to see the benefits of network marketing and why it is, as Eric Worre says, it's not perfect, it's just better. Oh, that's awesome. I love that your husband is your biggest supporter. That's super fantastic. Yeah, Eric Worre always says network marketing isn't perfect, it's just better. And once people begin to see that and get the vision for it, then they understand the time sacrifice that happens for a couple, you know, a short time, a couple years, but the long-term benefits that come from it. So I'm excited to get his book. All right, y'all, I'm going to call it a day. I'm going to go be productive on this fantastic Friday. Thanks for tuning in. And don't forget, the only way to fail in this business is to quit. So don't quit. Love you guys. Bye.